I truly think the only thing that you do need is the ability to learn from your state.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. Not the only thing that you
Well,
need,
yeah,
but
but
I think that learning from your mistakes is huge because what happens when you do the same thing over and over and over again?
well, it's pretty insane. But also, people are going to get
Insanity.
annoyed at you.
Yeah.
Like, that's when people are going to start being annoyed. Not because you're not perfect, because you don't learn.
I mean, when you think about it, I really haven't thought about it like that before. Huh. I think you taught me something new today.
Yeah, exactly. See, advice.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it really is about learning, right? I mean, you make a mistake and you move forward. But part of that is people don't like to admit that they made a mistake. People struggle with failure, right?
Yeah.
And I truly believe it's about embracing your failures.
Welcome to Her Unshakeable Confidence with dynamic mother-daughter duo Simone and Olivia Knego, where they discuss the secrets of transformation and how to build bold confidence and unwavering resilience. From intimate conversations with inspiring guests to sharing their personal journeys of triumph and challenge, Simone and Olivia create a supportive space where every woman is encouraged to rise above her fears and love the woman in the mirror. Tune into Her Unshakable Confidence and join this special journey of connection and growth. It's like catching up with old friends who inspire you to be bravely and uniquely you.
Welcome to this week's episode of Her Unshakable Confidence. I'm Simone Knego,
And I'm Olivia Knego.
and today we're talking about mother-daughter relationships and how they change over the years. I
And
mean,
I wanted to talk about this because of something you said earlier today, which was something you say on pretty much every episode, which is, don't I always give you the best advice? And that started to kind of make me think about, now that I'm older, I give you advice. And when did that shift happen? And when did, yeah,
it's
that's what I wanted to focus today's conversation on. Just, how me getting older, because I mean, you getting older hasn't really changed anything. No offense. You're still as young as the day I met you, 30.
That's pretty funny.
That's a really funny thing to say,
I
actually.
like
Pat
that.
myself on the back. Oh,
Yeah, that
that
was
was
pretty good.
good.
That was pretty good.
Sometimes you just got it. No, but in a way, like, yes, you're getting more mature and wiser, but like my maturity it's like what's the
Yours is a
graph?
huge change. Yeah.
Yes,
Like,
yeah, you know
yes.
what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to discredit your emotional and your growth over time. I'm just saying that my growth have been, like from not being able to talk to like I'm in law school. So pretty impressive.
Yeah. And I went from being 30 to being 53. So, hey. Yeah. That's a really interesting point. So I would say when, so much of the younger years, it's just about me parenting, right? Me
Mm-hmm.
helping you grow, me telling you what I think, me trying to direct you to what I think is the right. I mean, there's no handbook, so I could have screwed it completely up, but I think you look pretty good. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All my fingers and all my toes. Pretty
That's it.
good.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's more. There's more. I live by myself. Well, I don't live by myself. I'm in law school. That's pretty impressive, honestly. Like, that's all you have to say.
Is that?
Everything else could be going to shit, but if you say you're in law school, everyone's like,
Oh,
wow.
you really made it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so but probably I think because you've always been pretty mature. I mean,
Sure.
yes, no moments,
Um,
but
yeah, I've had a maturity. I think I want to correct people's thinking on that because I don't think it's fair to label kids as mature because then people expect more from them,
mm,
but they are still kids. And I was capable of having real conversations with adults, but in the end of the day, I was still a kid who loved Harry Potter.
okay, so let me take that back.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say that you were mature. I want to say that you had a lot of insight
Okay. Yeah.
and you had a grasp on a lot of things where if there was something where I was like questioning, you'd be like, well, I think this. So I think that you always kind of paid attention to the details and therefore kind of saw more than maybe some of your siblings did. I didn't say that out loud.
No, I didn't hear that. It's
Okay, good.
okay. I want to know about you and your mom. And when do you think that switch happened?
So definitely a very different relationship.
Absolutely, yes.
So in my childhood journey, I would say a lot of the parenting I received was really on the don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And it was just how they did it. It wasn't right or wrong. It was just what they did. And I would say part of that kind of led me not to have that same kind of all open relationship with my parents. I didn't really talk to them about most personal things once I hit high school, once I hit college. It wasn't until I had children that probably started turning around. And then once my mom was older, that's when I started becoming basically like the parent to her as well. And I don't want to say parent because obviously she's
no, but
capable.
You take on the role, like in my head, it's like, she's giving you, and then you guys equal out, and then you go on top.
Yeah. And then I'm the one. Because
that's just how life works.
Yeah. And then I'm the one, she asked me for my opinion on most things. And when something doesn't go right, I'm the one helping her. And so that's changed a lot because it used to be the opposite, right? It used to be that she was the one helping when something didn't go right. And so, yeah, I do think there's this natural progression for like as a parent, you're parenting, and then you're like on an almost equal plane where you're kind of like, there's more of, and depending on who your child is, this is not for everyone, but more of a friendship and a give and take. And I mean, I ask you for advice all the time. And one day you're going to be doing all of the things, but
Ooh.
Even, I mean, not all the work.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, I would say that, I mean, even when you were 18, I would send you pictures and get your advice on stuff. Like I'm actually talking about it in my speech this week. I still have a selfie that I sent to you from an event I went to right after COVID. And I was really uncomfortable to go to this event because the woman who invited me, super sweet, but super fancy. And I am not fancy. And I wanted to go, but I felt uncomfortable in my skin to go. And I literally sent you, and I found the selfie because I didn't delete it because I've got 30,000 photos on my phone, a selfie of me wearing a blazer, jeans, sneakers. And you had to basically convince me to get into the car. You're like, you look great, get in the car and go. And that's crazy to think that I needed my 18-year-old daughter to say, here, you're good enough. You look beautiful. Just get in the car and go.
It's crazy because you do the same thing to me like every day in terms of like outfits and stuff. Or on two notes. First of all, you have always been the person just wear jeans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always.
Second of all, I was thinking about this and I have really high expectations. Okay, no. Erase that sentence. Scratch that because that makes me sound entitled. My love language is words of affirmation. That's how I like to receive love. And you and Dad have kind of spoiled me to death with that. And so speaking about like, when I had my law school prom about a week ago, and I was very uncomfortable when I first put on my dress because, like you, I'm fancy in a different regard than clothing. I wear a sweatshirt and shorts to class pretty much on a daily basis. So the idea of putting on a ball gown and going to an event is definitely not my cup of tea. And I called you guys and literally both of you were like screaming about
oh my God, you look amazing.
Yeah. I was like, Jack, this is what you have, like saying to my boyfriend, like this is what you have to do. This is what I'm used to. This is what you have to do. But I mean, yeah, I think it's kind of funny. Like we both still struggle with that, but we both still give each other advice on it.
Well, that's also my love language is words of affirmation. And I think that it's really interesting understanding what someone else needs. I mean, we were talking about this the other day about your dad. Like he is physical touch. Like he wants to hold your hand. He wants a hug. And when people don't understand that, or when you guys as kids don't understand, like just give the man a hug. He just needs a hug. But it's hard because if you're not on the same, if you don't have the same love language, like for us, it's easy because it's words of affirmation.
Yeah.
You look amazing, get in the car. Well, I know that you mean it because I'm not going to bullshit you and you're not going to bullshit
Yeah.
me. You know, I say it how it is. Like if I think that like, okay, that's not your color, I'm going to tell you that's not your color. And I'm assuming, which again,
I do.
use assume as this however you want to, that you're telling the truth to me as well. And so I think that's why I value your opinion so much. And I don't know, some parents might say, oh my God, that's a lot of pressure, but I don't really see it that way. I see it as that we are on kind of like an equal. I mean, I'm still your parent at the end of the day,
yeah.
but there's no reason I can't ask you for your opinion because I think that your opinion is valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot is the idea of when you get to a certain age, you realize your parents don't know everything. So I have two stories in mind here, but in a good way. The first one is I had a squeaky pair of sneakers in high school that I thrifted, but they were like, I got them for like $10 and they're worth like $200. So obviously I was going to keep them. And I was like, you know what? I bet my mom knows how to unfix the squeak. And I don't remember what she told me to do, but it worked. And so I was like, see, she knows everything. And then most recently, our health insurance switched and one of my medications got denied. And I sent you a text that was like, I don't know what to do. And your response was very similar to, honestly, neither do I.
Yeah. It's like, call the doctor. I mean,
yeah.
I can get on the phone and complain for hours, but I mean, they're going to probably make much better strides with it than I will. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you love when you're little, your kids think that you know everything and that you have it all together. And then they grow up and they're like, oh my gosh, no, they don't.
No, but that's the fun thing, because if I had parents that were perfect, what world would I be able to live in? Because I'm not perfect. I will never be perfect. I'm perfect in my own way. Like, whatever. I don't like the idea of perfect, though, because that's so boring. You're not willing to make mistakes. You're not willing to own up to your mistakes.
There's no such thing as perfect.
Yeah,
right?
and
it's just a made up.
Well, if Noah, for example, Noah's perfect dinner is chicken nuggets and fries. My perfect dinner is like a tasting menu at a 3-star Michelin restaurant.
And my perfect dinner is a lobster. Yeah. So there's no such thing. It's preference, right? I mean, but society tells us that you have to have this piece of perfection in you for you to be valuable. And it's so not true because there's no such thing as perfect.
I truly think the only thing that you do need is the ability to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. Not the only thing that you need.
Yeah,
but I think that learning from your mistakes is huge because I mean, what happens when you do the same thing over and over and over again?
Well, it's pretty insane, but also people are going to get annoyed at you. Yeah. Like, that's when people are going to start being annoyed. Not because you're not perfect, because you don't learn.
I mean, when you think about it, I really haven't thought about it like that before. Huh. I think you taught me something new today.
Yeah, exactly. See, advice.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it really is about learning, right? I mean, you make a mistake and you move forward. But part of that is people don't like to admit that they made a mistake. People struggle with failure, right?
Yeah.
And I truly believe it's about embracing your failures.
Mm-hmm. I think the easiest thing that I've been doing a lot recently is I relate it back, all of our conversations, to real life examples. So I think an easy real life example here is last semester, I refused to look over my final exams after I did them. And so I know what I got. I don't know where I struggled, though. And I've made the active decision for my upcoming exam. I just got the grade back that I registered to go and look at it and see what I did wrong. And that is scary to me because I am sitting there, I'm looking at all the red ink stains on the piece of paper and saying, this is where you messed up. This is where you messed up. And it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. But how am I going to do better on the final exam without it?
Yeah, if you don't see where you've made mistakes in the past, then you can't learn from them. Mm-hmm. So it is. I mean, it's crucial to be able to take that step back and say that, you know, every setback isn't a step back. It's rocket fuel for your growth, right? Mm-hmm. And do you like that?
I did like that a lot, actually.
Good. That's a line from my speech.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Figured I'd try it out and you see what you think. But yeah, I think we're so conditioned to think that if we make a mistake or if we fail at something that, okay, don't talk about it, don't look at it, don't do anything about it. Well, no. I mean, making a mistake or having a failure doesn't make you a failure, right? But what you say about not learning from it is really,
Yeah.
it's really important that we learn from all the things that go wrong, because otherwise you're just doing the same shit all over again.
Yeah. I mean, I think from make yourself feel better example, and also from a this is how the world reacts point of view, like that's what you have to do. We're not expecting perfection. We're expecting, this is so off topic.
I know, right?
I know.
But
okay.
We go down these rabbit holes. But I mean, that shows where our relationship is right now, is that you gave me some good advice. I gave you some good advice. Like, that's what we do. And, let's talk about, though, because there are plenty of parents who really struggle with having this kind of relationship, right? They don't have that same kind of friendship with their kids, or they've had things that have happened where they're now estranged from their kids. Like, tell me, because I'm sure you have friends that don't have this kind of relationship, or maybe you have, all your friends do have this kind of relationship.
Their parents are judgmental. Point blank, period.
Do you think it's as simple as that?
Yes. Quite literally, it is as simple as that, because you guys have never judged me. You've been disappointed. You have been angry, but you have never judged me, because I am learning as much as you guys are learning.
Yeah, we're just going through our days trying to make a move forward,
and,
right?
I mean, I don't think necessarily it's all judgment per se. Maybe it's like, oh, okay, like we are really different people in the end of the day. But I kind of find that hard to believe, that you can't find something in common with the child that you raised. So, I don't know. I think a lot of it, when I see it with my friends, it is just judgment, because they feel as though they can't be as open with their parents about their issues. And how can you even start to have the conversations we have if I'm afraid of bringing something up?
Yeah, I think it's such a valid point. I mean, that's one thing we definitely said, is that no matter what, like, you can tell us anything and we won't judge you. I mean, we might laugh at you, but we're not going to judge you.
Yeah.
You like
and
that?
You'll always bust me out of my shit, which, I mean, hasn't happened too frequently. But I mean, minor example here, freaking I parked in Cookout and I got towed, and you guys still paid the bill, even though it was stupid. You did laugh at me, but there wasn't a judgment, or there wasn't a mad.
Like, girl.
Yeah.
Really?
And okay, it was a move
guess
on.
What? I said you learn from it. Move on.
But
what are you not going to do in the future?
I'm not going to. I'm literally been so careful. I pay for parking everywhere. I never park in front of no toes. Like, I'm so careful about my parking now.
Okay, so you learn from it.
I have friends who, even at 22, would not tell their parents they got towed, because even if they were completely financially independent, their parents would still be judgmental in some sort of way, that they just would like to avoid the whole conversation.
Such an interesting point. Yeah, I think that goes back to when I was a kid. I didn't have that same relationship. It was really, like I said, what will other people think? Or, oh, we don't talk about things like that. And I'll give you two great examples. One was, we never had a sex talk. And not that parents need to so much have a sex talk these days, because
I don't think we technically did either.
Yeah, but you can see. I mean, we had Encyclopedia Britannica. That's what we had.
Mean, like, I was like addicted to BuzzFeed in 7th grade. It's okay.
Okay, thanks. But so the first conversation my parents ever had with me was they found birth control in my purse, and they told me how disappointed they were with me for going on birth control, but I guess they're happy because I wasn't going to get pregnant. And it wasn't like, so it was a judgment right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, how could you do this? How could you do this? And so I think, and then another example is Like if I were to go to a party, there's no way I would ever call them to pick me up. Just it would never happen, right? So did I get in a car with people who probably shouldn't have been driving? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I didn't have that same relationship where I could have just called and said, "Hey mom, can you pick me up? I'm at this house. Pick me up like 2 blocks from here." And if you guys ever did that, I'd be like, "Yep, I'll pick you
Yeah.
up wherever you want, wherever you want." Like no judgment, no, I'll pick up your friends, I'll drive them home, I'll take you to get burgers, whatever you need. And I think that's such a different perspective than what my parents had. And I can't say that my perspective is that way because they were that way, but I think partially it is because I know how much it affected me not to have that, hey, we're not going to judge. It was kind of like, that's just part of life. You get judged. And yes, you're going to get judged everywhere else. Why do you have to get judged constantly by us too?
Yeah, don't judge your kids, judge with them. Do a little people watching together.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, it's very enjoyable. I love people watching. Yeah, I think though, I think relationships with the biggest issue between parents and kids is the judgment factor and then the fear that comes with it. And I'm not saying like your kid's going to be 100% open with you, even if you don't judge them, but they're less likely to be in dangerous situations and there's more likely to be a productive and open relationship between the two of you.
Yeah, I'd love to look at studies about that to see how that really works. I mean, I think in theory it sounds right? I mean, it sounds like if you are supportive of your kids, not just financially, the emotional piece of it, and that when something happens, you don't put blame.
Mm-hmm.
You just say, okay, how can I help? Then it makes sense that would be true. But there are situations where there is an estrangement and it seems like they have a great relationship, but maybe, from the outside, it just looks different than it really is on the inside.
Yeah. It's superficial. Dad always says this thing. He's like, I wish you guys would all get along all the time. And I don't think families that get along all the time are actually getting along. I don't think they actually know each other. I like that we all bicker with each other because that means I know my siblings. Like, I know them. We talk.
Yeah, I completely see that. I think that, you look at some families and they're just always so excited to see each other. All the kids are always so excited to see each other. And I would say that you guys enjoy each other's company, but it's not like the day begins and ends with one of your siblings for you.
Well, sometimes it does. Usually Emma, though. But, not intentionally. She just texts me a lot. But, yeah, I think one of the things that you guys have done well, and maybe shout out to other parents that do this, is having us be open and honest, but, also on a leash. And
Wait, we put you on a leash?
No one to yank us back.
Oh. I was like, what?
Girl, that was too much. Not just supporting every movement. And, because there's a line between being the chill parent and being like, oh, your parents are actually cool. The chill parent is the parent that, buys their kid weed and, let's host the parties all the time. Yeah, I want to be at the party with your kids. That's not the relationship that you want to have with your teenager, especially.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have boundaries no matter what.
Yeah.
And I actually think by setting boundaries, you help your child build confidence because they understand that what's real and what's not, and what's okay in your world and what's not, because you can't just say yes to everything. And that isn't parenting, right?
Yeah. And it's also not saying no to everything. It's knowing when is okay, oh, this might not be what I want them to do, but it's not going to harm them in any way. So let them do it because they really want to.
It's funny. We were talking about what would happen so my husband and I are 10 years difference. And we started dating when I was 18 and he was almost 28 at that point. And of course, people were like, oh my gosh, she's not even legal drinking age. How can, and there was so much judgment. Okay. We've been married almost 32 years. And it's such an interesting thing because I would tell you if you or any of your siblings came home and said, oh, I'm dating someone 10 years older than me, I'd be like, no, you're not. I think I would struggle with that. And it's so funny because,
Interesting.
yeah, I
But
mean,
does your
again,
parents? I thought they always
So-
liked dad because, you know, he's a doctor.
yeah, I mean, they said, be very careful. He's a much older man. I don't know truly what they thought at the time.
Yeah.
But so if you talk about a leash that I would have been dragging you back on, that might be one. That might be one where I would have really struggled with it. Now, again, he's a really good human, yes, and he's a physician and all those things. So maybe it depends on like the person that you would be seeing.
And I think that is a very interesting thing in itself, that parents kind of preemptively try and stop that by putting these boundaries into place. But none of your kids would ever do that, Mom, because of the way you've raised us, because of the values that you've instilled in us, though. So that should like, it's a hard like line to explain, but I think like helicopter parents get so in their head that they have to prevent, for example, the idea of dating, you know, someone 10 years older than you, instead of, and like they put that hard restriction into place, which you put a hard restriction on a kid, they're going to break it.
Yeah.
Duh.
So no, they say yes.
Yeah. So if you just more of like, I don't know, kind of like put it in their cornflakes every morning, but like, you know what I mean? Like just like build the same values. Your kids, I mean, they're going to fuck up along the way, but they're probably not going to do anything that you would truly disapprove of.
Yeah. I think it's a very valid point. And, you know, it's funny because when I started dating your dad, he was like, he was exactly what I needed. He was just such a good human. And I think that I wouldn't have seen it from any different light. It wasn't like, oh, he's 10 years older than me. It was just like, he's just a really good human.
Yeah.
And
which is still true.
Which is still true. He is a very good human. But yeah, it's funny how the dynamics are with parents and their children, with mothers and daughters.
That specifically, every parent's always going to be wary about because, you know, older men, they're scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easiest way I could say that. But I think, like, even if, you know, every generation gets more lax about the things they like and don't like. And I still think that would be the one that every parent would be like, ooh, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. And fortunately, it played out really well. I mean, next month is 32 years. One thing we didn't talk about, and we're just going to talk about it for a second. I turned 53 this week.
Pretty magical.
Magical? It's 35 backwards.
I think
40
it's
plus
cool.
13.
You've had so many years of experience on this planet.
I've had so much experience.
You've had so many memories.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? I don't really see it. And it'll be interesting to see as you get older. Like, I don't look at age and think, oh my gosh, I'm so old. I mean, I joke about it, but I still feel really young, right? I still feel like, trust me, everything hurts and I'm going through menopause and all the things, or I'm in menopause or I'm past menopause. I don't know. I'm whatever. I'm messed up, but I don't look at it and think, oh, I'm just really old. So I'll be curious to see as you get older, how you feel. Like, are you thinking each year like, oh my gosh, I'm a year older, or just like, hey, that's just part of the plan?
I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know. Aging doesn't scare me. I mean, it does a little bit, but not that much. It's kind of been cool. I don't know, because what you think, the last like year, honestly, I've realized what I thought I knew for facts as a 16-year-old, I did not. And I was scared of aging when I was 16, but the best part is like I know so much more than I did then.
Yeah, I would say that if we're talking about confidence, I think that for me, the older I get, the more confident I am because I know what I've been through.
Yeah.
I understand that failures are just bumps in the road. I don't take everything personally. I know when someone's saying mean things that it's not about me, it's about them. Like, so all of these things that I learned over time that wouldn't have happened without aging.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we're going to end it. So calendar, please. Drum roll, calendar, please.
Drum roll.
I know. I was like, rump.
You can't turn off being yourself from one situation to the next. It's never not you. Where you are freest, you are happiest. Where you are constrained, you are most disempowered. But even if it's only with one item in your life, that kind of personal suppression bleeds into everything. And I mean everything, whether you realize it or not.
I think that's really valid. That was a really long one. I was like, okay, I've got to really focus. Usually it's like 5 words. But it's so true that what about that, if you're not being you, right? And if you're not standing behind what you believe in, it does bleed into everything that you do. And so when you're talking about when moms and daughters struggle, if you're taking a different approach, and I mean, you can see why it happens, right? I mean, just so you know, I'm not going to judge you, but I will laugh at you when you do ridiculous things. And you do the same to me. So
yeah. It's so much better to laugh than judge.
Yeah.
Makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Makes them feel better.
Yeah. I'd say laughter is food for the soul, and judgment is not. There you go.
Amen.
Quote of the day. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Her Unshakable Confidence. And confidence tip of the day is to just do it. Do it because you're scared. Do it because you want to do it, and don't let anybody else tell you that you can't. I hope you have an amazing week.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Simone Knego and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.